Hey everyone, Kathy here from Santa Marta Designs. Just going to be doing a part of our wreath project again tonight. Back after a little break. We haven't been on in about 6 weeks. I know that's quite a long time, so welcome back everyone, but I just wanted to let you know we're going to be starting our fall wreath kit tonight. It's not a wreath kit. That was a tongue twister. A wreath kit that we made, but one that we purchased. So just to show you that you can get some really great wreath kits out there. And so this particular one comes from Hardworking Mom. So if you go to hardworkingmomstore.com, you can get a bunch of wreath kits there that are really great. So what came with this wreath kit? And so as you're hopping on, just say hello and let us know you're on. But so this wreath kit came with, and generally her kits come with a lot of different things. So generally it comes with a wreath base, okay, and this is one of those that the you know, the wire or tinsels or you know, a lot of times we use pipe cleaners, but so these are pre-made wreath forms, okay. So the base is provided, and this one's purple because this is a purple and like turquoise kind of fall wreath. It also came with these ribbons, so I'm actually going to hold them up because I've already started cutting them up. So it came with 10 yards of each one of these ribbons, I believe. Was it 10 yards or 5 yards? Let me just double check so I'm not telling you the wrong thing. She also gives you this great little packet in case you're not familiar with how to make wreaths. So you get a nice little postcard from her. You get her business card, so that way you know where to order from again. Let's see. I forget if it came with 10 yards. So it either comes with 10 yards or 5 yards. I can't remember. I'm going to say it was 10 yards of each one. And then you get, so these come in cut bundles, which come in that bag. And then you get an actual full-size 10-yard roll, typically, okay, of matching ribbons. So then you get this sign. So whatever wreath kit you pick will always have a different sign. So this one I picked is actually the fall one. So metal sign. And then this one also came with a 21-inch roll of this purple, really nice, pretty purple mesh. And, oh, I already cut it up, so that's why I can't find it. Then it came with this border mesh, this turquoise, or I should say teal, this teal border mesh that's got foil on the ends here of this really nice, pretty pink, okay? So I cut these at 20 inches each, 18 of them. And then what we're going to do tonight, we're not going to do the border mesh because we're going to do that another night. So if any of you follow me, then a lot of times what we do is we do portions of our wreath because not everyone has like a couple of hours or even an hour sometimes to spend sitting down and doing their wreaths. So we're going to start with our poof method with a 21-inch mesh. Okay, so we're going to load that to our little mesh holder here, our mesh roller. All right. Oh, goodness gracious. I got a couple things in the way. There we go. All right. Oh, I've got something tangled up in my mesh roller, and that's why it's skipping on me. There we go. All right. So we've got that loaded up into our mesh roller. We're going to take the sign out of the way. We're going to take all these ribbons out of the way because, as you know, mesh gets kind of prickly and gets catchy on a lot of things. So we don't want all this stuff to go flying around as we turn our wreath base around, putting ties in and whatnot. So we're going to hang off on our ribbons. So I've already cut all our ribbons at 12 inches each, and I did 18. Now you don't have to do 18 all the time, depending on how much you put on your wreaths, because I cut 18 because there's 18 ties. But you don't technically have to do all of them, because a lot of times if you're putting you know, lots of different attachments on and things like that, they'll cover your your ribbons, and then you won't even really know that you have them on there. So then we already had these. So the kit does not come with these pumpkins. I had these pumpkins. I just thought that gray looked really nice with all these purples and teals. So we might put 2 pumpkins in there. So what are we going to do tonight? So tonight we're going to show you how to do the base, which is with the poof method. And then another night when we come back, we will do the you're going to actually decide on Monday night, excuse me, which is on Facebook. You're going to actually decide whether we do the woodland ruffle method or we just do a regular ruffle to put in here, okay? And then, or maybe I can have you guys vote. You know what? I'll do that. I'll have you guys vote possibly before our live on Monday night, so that way we don't wait around, and then we can have some stuff prepared. So let's get started. So we're just going to take everything out of the way. I did want to show you, we'll show you that in a minute when we start our bow. So we're going to do our base in the poof method, and then we're going to do our bow, okay? Because I already know what the color scheme I want. So then we're going to do our bow, and then that will be it for tonight. And then we'll continue on with our some type of ruffle attachment with our ties, with all our ribbons. And then from there we'll attach our bow, attach our sign on our next live, so it'll be good. So all I did was pinch our 21-inch mesh here, okay? Hey Angie, how's it going? So all I did was pinch our mesh and lost my zip tie. So here's our zip tie, okay? And just for a second, I'm going to change the camera angle on my screen so that way I know you guys are seeing everything. So I'm not going to see comments for just a minute. So here we go. So I'm going to start at a tie on the bottom, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the mesh over the tie, wrap, oops, our zip tie was facing the wrong way. Put this zip tie on the other side of this twist tie, okay? And I'm going to super tighten that until I can't tighten it anymore. And we're looking for our little wire cutters. There they are. So we're just going to take our little itty bitty wire cutters and take the tail off that zip tie, okay? And I'm going to leave this tie open, okay? So now as I go around, I'm just going to try and make sure that my mesh ends are kind of facing in. I don't want them facing out. So out would be like they're like this, and when you tie it, you're going to see the seam. You want it facing under or in. So that way when you make your poof, you're actually not seeing a seam. So you see how you can't see the seam underneath really? Okay, so we're going to go around just like that. Okay, now some people may ask, well, you know, how big do I know to make my poofs? And that is a personal preference. So you can make them as big as you want, as small as you want. I don't even really measure, to be honest with you. I just kind of pick a size that I think I like, and then we go with it. And here's the thing, this method is actually really forgiving. I'm just stuck on my mesh here for 1 second, sorry. This mesh actually, or I should say this method is forgiving, because typically you're not going to just have this poof method without having anything else on top of it. So by the time you get other things attached on here, you're never even going to notice if one little poof decided to come out an inch bigger or smaller, that kind of thing. I have something kind of holding up my mesh roller here from rolling the right way. So I'm finicking with my mesh because of it. And I forgot to take it off there, so what I have is I hung up some string from when I was sewing our wreath attachments on the end of it, and now it's all raveled up against or I should say around, not against, one of the dowels giving me a lot of grief. As you can hear it thumping instead of rolling. So we're just going to continue to put these poofs in every single tie, okay? And I opened up all the bottom ones. I kept the inner ones kind of just hanging out, laying down. So that way, hopefully my mesh wasn't going to catch on it too much. Okay. And so that 10-yard roll that came with the wreath kit, I already went ahead and cut the whole roll at 20 inches long, 18 cuts. Okay. So each tie, when we go back, is going to have some kind of ruffle in it. And what's going to happen is it's going to have like this peekaboo effect where you're going to see some little purple sticking out with that teal on top. Okay. Alright, so now we're back to the beginning here where we started. And so that's where I'm going to go ahead and put this down here and take that tie I hadn't used yet. Okay, and now I'm going to use it. And then I'm just going to jump right up here. I am going to use this tie. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on how or what kind of wreath frame I'm using. So this one, it just happened to be right up above, so I'm going to just go ahead and use that tie and just leave it up and open though, because we're going to still need a tie off in the end, in the very end. Okay. So again, we're just building our wreath base. So this poof method, see how small I like my poofs, and technically this one came out a little bit small, but some people like them super ginormous, like up in the air, you know, like probably 12 inches or more. I kind of like to keep mine generally a little bit smaller, just because you're going to already have a lot of height in your wreath once you add your bow and your other attachments. And when we get to our bow, I'm going to show you we actually did pick out possibly some florals to go with the whole project. Okay, so we may or may not use them, but we'll have to see once we do part 2. Okay. And if you ever have any questions on any part of this, the good thing about the videos is that you can always go back and rewatch any section, or you can even actually comment and send me questions. So if you comment on the video, you can always send me a question if you're not sure about something. Okay. So these little spaces here will get covered by our ruffles, so I'm not worried about that. Okay. I'm so sorry we haven't seen everyone in so long. We were a little busy with our other job, but good news. So the good news, or the good news announcement, is that we are going to be doing this full time starting next week actually. So after tomorrow, we're going to be doing this full time. So there's going to be a lot more tutorials coming out, because I know I've been promising, and we just haven't been able to build that into our schedule. So we are going to start doing this full time, have more tutorials, and we're actually going to have some sewing tutorials too coming out. So more to come. Check us out for announcements on Facebook. So, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, if you do so, then at least when you subscribe and hit that notification bell icon, YouTube will let you know when there's something new posted by our channel that you can watch. Alright, so now I'm back here at the beginning again of the top row. So I know I already did use that one tie, but I'm going to use it again. This one little poof needs to come out more. And there is so much mesh left over on this 21-inch wreath base that you could probably get 2 wreath bases out of this, not just one. And so for this, I'm going to go ahead and just cut off some excess here with my scissors that we put aside, or they were going to fall off the table. Alright, so I'm just going to cut some excess here. Okay, this extra mesh can just get rolled right back up again and put aside. We're just going to roll that up so it doesn't go anywhere. And then this here, I'm going to take another zip tie, and I'm going to push this, so I'm going to make a little space, and I'm going to push this right to the back of the frame behind the poof, because you're really never going to even see this. Now, some people just don't even mind and can leave it like that because the mesh, you know, gets kind of stuck to one another. But what I like to do is if I come back here, so this is the mesh I shoved back here, right? So I'm going to take a zip tie, and I'm going to basically come here and wrap this around. I've got stuff from our tinsels all over the place. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and tighten it this as much as we possibly can. Cut off our tail. Okay. And this just gives me a little added assurance that you know, our tied off here end or cut off end is not going to go lifting up and looking really ugly or something on our wreath base. So at our next session, what we'll do is we'll create ruffles, which I do already have some created here. I'm going to switch back our view on our screen just so I can see if there's any questions. Hey, Geraldine, how are you? I'm sorry, I had to literally get close to the screen to see the rest of the name. I could see the G and the R and my eyes gave out. What kind of, and Angie asks what kind of mesh this is. So this isn't, the big one here says it's deco poly mesh. And then the little 10-inch, I'm just looking, I just threw the tag somewhere. This one is just a regular, this one's just a regular deco mesh. I know it is, but it does have the foil edging, so it is really, really pretty. So this would be the regular ruffle. So we're gonna probably put 2 of them in just so that people can see, like, what do they want to do? Do they want, you know, do they want to have a regular ruffle? We could even mix the 2. You don't have to have the same thing across the board. But so do you want to do a regular ruffle, which this is what our regular ruffle would look like, okay? And we don't even technically have to put a ruffle in every single tie, because if you're not particularly into, you know, large wreaths, you could make this smaller by just skipping areas. So this is basically what's called a woodland ruffle, and it's got curls on both sides with a ruffle in the middle. And it's a little bit less ruffle in the middle because these were all cut at 20 inches. But so say I skipped a tie, I could always come here and put a ruffle here, a woodland ruffle, and that's what that would look like. And then we would still put our ribbon tails here. So I could always do something like this, and we're going to have ribbon tails in these. I'm just showing you what they would look like. But so if you didn't want it as high, then you would just put your ribbon tails in these ties that are missing a ruffle. Okay. And these you would position so that they cover any kind of negative space. So that might actually not be a bad idea that we do every other. I really do like that idea. We do every other tie, and we can always use these extra pieces for another project. But I think we might do every other tie when we come back in for our step 2 with the mesh for the 20-inch, well, it's a 10-inch wide but 20-inch cut mesh. And then every one that we don't put a ruffle in, we will just put in our tails. Okay? How does that sound? Everyone kind of like that idea? And then we obviously will find placement for our pumpkins. I put 2. Now I don't have a third, and I wish they were a little smaller, so I think 2 is actually better because I don't want 3 ginormous pumpkins all over our wreath. So I'll take a picture of this, ask people which one they prefer, and then I'll put a poll on our Facebook page so that people can vote up until Monday night. Okay? And then we'll do whatever option everyone votes on the most to make it fair. So let's put this a little bit aside and we're going to work on our bow. Okay, so we are going to be adding 2 different ribbons to our bow. So the great thing about wreath kits is there's a lot of great things actually. So it saves you time and hassle to go to different places to grab all the supplies if you only want to make one wreath and you're not looking to buy a ton of material, and go to 5 different places. And a lot of times if you want to just order a little bit to make one kit, then it's not worth you buying like 50-yard rolls and things like that, or having leftover, because maybe you just want to make one. So that's why I do love getting the kits sometimes, because it's just a time saver really. So these 2 ribbons that we have in house, and that I know I am behind on listing for sale separately, but these 2 ribbons, we're going to add these 2 because if you remember, I really liked how the gray tied in with all our ribbons. So if you remember, here are all our ribbons. These are our ribbon tails. Okay, and I'm actually going to put them together like this. So the purple is going to go with this teal, and then this pink is going to go with this teal. I didn't want to put teal on teal. I thought that looked a little iffy. But so we have leftover ribbon here from our kit. So I already cut 18 ties, and we still have plenty of ribbon left over. So let's tell you how much ribbon we have left over, because I think that's kind of important for people to understand if they're contemplating buying a kit. So that's 1 yard, because my cutting mat is 36 inches wide. So that's 1 yard. Here's 2. So we have a little over 2 yards left, okay, of each ribbon to make a bow, and that's plenty. Plenty, because I'm going to add in 2 that I like as my favorite. Not favorite out of the whole thing, but I mean favorite to add. So that way I can put my little spin on this project. So let's get our Easy Bow Maker out. Okay. It's been so long, I feel like, since we've made a bow. My gosh. I love these pumpkins. It's like really soft, I think, velour material. And they're just so squishy. So, alright, let's make our bow. We're going to take our tails out of the way. Okay. And we're going to make our bow. So, I usually like to start with a contrasting color on the bow. So that way, let me explain here. Where did our base go? Right here. So our wreath base, our colors that we know we're going to do on the bottom are this teal and purple for the majority. We are going to add in that pink, this pink ribbon as well, but that's not going to be the biggest color within our base. Our biggest colors are the purple and the teal. So when I put something as far as a bow on top, I kind of want to create like a barrier to point your eye out at like this really different piece within the base. And the way I like to do that is putting in some kind of different color that will make this like a separation between the two items. So that's why I'm going to add this gray, and I'm going to add this gray to the bottom of the base of the bow, and then we can actually make multiple layers with the gray, but I'm going to add it definitely as our first bottom layer of our bow, because in our easy bow maker we build from the bottom up, versus other bow makers where you build from the top down. Okay, and I think I was just going to take a quick look to see if I had any other small grays, but I think, oh, I have one tiny little piece that we could possibly use that is a 1.5 inch for an accent, but we'll see how it looks in the end. I have a little tiny bit left, so it's always really great for an accent piece. So we'll see how it works in the end. So let's make our bow. Okay. Alright, so let's put this 50-yard roll on here. And those 50-yard rolls sometimes are a little cumbersome. So I'm going to have really long tails for now because I don't know what position I'm going to put my bow in, okay? So I don't know if I'm going to put it at the top of the wreath. I don't know if I'm going to put it at the bottom, the middle. So I want to have enough length on my tails to do, you know, whatever I possibly want to do. So I think I'm going to leave this just over 16 inches because it's 8 from here to here and then another 8 from here to here. So just over 16 inches, I'm just leaving a generous like 1 inch extra on each side. Okay, and not even exact. So here is my tail, okay? I'm going to put this back on here so that way we can keep rolling. So as soon as I put my ribbon in my dowel, I'm twisting it. Okay, so see how this is what we call the pretty side, nice pattern, and when I twist it, I'm getting this really dull, ugly side, okay? So I'm going to put my hand here over to the 6-inch mark. We're going to start it at the 6-inch loop. Okay, and again, this bow maker comes with the measurements right on it, and most of them do. And so all I'm going to do, so if you notice, I put my ribbon back in the dowels, so I'm going to twist it again. Okay, so we're going to do this 4 times. So that's 2 times. We want to measure on both sides so that we don't have like a lopsided bow. Twist. We're going to pull some of our ribbon out that's being a little stubborn. Okay, and we're going to measure out to 6 inches again. And we're going to twist and measure out 6 inches again. So we did that 4 times in order to have 2 loops on either side of our bow. And then all I do with the tail is come down here to where my first tail was hanging about at this length, and we're going to cut that. Okay, so we're done with this one. I really love this gray contrast against the teal and the purple. Even with the pink, I think it looks great. So we are going to add in some of this purple. It's like this check stitched purple, and it's a 1.5 inch. Our first gray one is a 2.5 inch, and this is a premium canvas ribbon. Well, actually all these ribbons are really nice premium ribbons. And that is the good thing again about kits too. So there's no right or wrong. You don't have to do 2.5 inches all first, 1.5 inches all on top. You can mix them in, okay? So I'm going to actually mix in a different color here because I want to put this one closer to the top of my bow. So I'm going to mix in this teal, 1.5 inch. Okay. I feel like I was missing a ribbon. I am missing the teal. Oh, here it is, the solid teal. We know it went somewhere. Here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up with our original tail. And actually, if you wanted to make the 1.5 inch with longer tails, you can than the rest of it. So this one, I'm going to just make 1 loop on both sides. And I'm going to keep it kind of close in size to my first loops. I'm not going to start shortening yet, okay? Alright, so just come right down to the other side of the tail and cut right there. And you don't have to be exact. So don't sit there and wonder, oh my goodness, my other one is longer than this one. You won't be able to tell anything at the end. That's why I say these projects are so forgiving. No one would be able to tell unless it's yourself, okay? So if you can see, our bow is starting to form. Can you see that? So I think now I'm going to take my purple and I'm just going to throw the rest of it right on the floor. No need to be overly sensitive with our ribbon. It's not going to get hurt. So this is now the purple layer. And I think what we're going to do with this one is make 3 loops. Okay. And this one I am going to start shortening just a smidge. Okay, maybe about 1/2 inch. Because I always twist when I come into these dowels, okay? And I will say the 3 loopers are sometimes a little quirky, okay? I just had to move my loops because we started on the left and I'm always used to starting on the right, so I started putting everything the wrong way. Our intent with a 3 loop is that one loop is going to stay up here, okay? And then we can move these other 2 as we please. Alright. So, and I want to try and make my loop kind of go downwards on both sides, if you can see that. And so this loop is a little too big, I can tell. We're just going to pull that in before we cut. So as you can see, I'm still working with ribbon from the kit, and we're making a bow after we already cut our ribbon tails. And this is my excess, okay? So still have plenty of ribbon left. All right, so let's go to, I think we're gonna go to our pink, okay? Let's go to our pink. I think we might go just a smidge smaller on this one. And go, we're going to try for 2 loops on this one, okay? On either side. Just because we're starting to now get a little bit smaller in our loops. So that gives us the potential to have more ribbon available for making 2 loops instead of 1 on either side. Okay. Put that there. And so see here, we actually still have extra of our ribbon. I'm going to cut that one a little bit longer. Okay. So I'm just trying to fix everything so you can continue to see the formation of the bow. All right. So I think I like it set up so far. All right. I was debating on putting the gray and white back in there again, but I don't think we are going to. So I'm not going to really I'm not going to add in this gray one here because I don't like the buffalo check against these very sharp lines. So we're going to leave that one out. And I think what we're going to do, see, now I didn't even use the rest of this teal ribbon because I think for my personal taste, we're going to have a lot of teal with our ruffles. Tongue-tied for a second. So I don't think I'm going to go ahead and put that color in because I don't want to overkill it. So I just flip this over into like a little loop, and I'm going to pinch it like this to however big I want. I usually put a few fingers in there to see how big I want my loop. And then when I put it in here for my accent piece, my front is facing forward, and then I need to twist this back one. Okay, you can twist it before you have it in here. And this way I can ensure that both pieces are facing up. All right. So that is going to be super cute. Okay. And we can always add some cheater bows to our project in the end with the gray to continue more more apparent to the eye of a combination of gray versus just within the bow and just within the pumpkins. But we'll see once we get on to our phase 2 of the project. And so I'm just taking a couple things out of the way, making sure we didn't have any other ribbon I wanted to add. I think we're good because I've done that before, thinking I was done with my bow, and then I'm like, oh no, I meant to add in this ribbon too. So you're going to pick a side of your dowels that your pipe cleaner or zip tie. We have a zip tie. I like to use zip ties because my hands are able to grab it better and close it better versus a pipe cleaner. I feel like it slips too much out of my hand and I don't get to grab it with enough strength. So I'm going to pull it tight just to the extent that I know if I pull it out, it's not going to go all crazy and wild on me and fall out of the zip tie. But I am going to squeeze pressure on it and push this in towards an indentation that was created from the dowels. And then at the same time, I'm not tightening all the way yet. I'm going to bring this to the back, this tail. I'm going to bring that to the back. So what do we do here? We're going to tie on some wire. I'm going to grab our, what gauge is this? 26 gauge wire, floral wire. And I'm going to cut about 2 feet long or so. Okay. And before I close this little guy up, I'm going to squeeze again so that I can get a space between the gray ribbon and the zip tie and squeeze this wire under there. And basically I'm going to make sure they're kind of even on both sides. Somewhat. There we go. And then as long as this wire is in here or your pipe cleaner, then go ahead and tighten it until it cannot tighten anymore. There we go, cannot tighten anymore. Angie says nice colors on the bow. Thank you, Angie. So here, this wire, you're going to want to go ahead and make sure that's tied off. So twist that a number of times. And we did squish our bow just to show you what was going on in the back there. So all you do is come in and fluff this bow when you're ready. And since you tightened it so much and you put in an accent piece, there is no way that you're going to actually see any part of your zip tie or anything else going on. Okay. If you ever feel like your bow is flat, go ahead and give it a couple of wiggles on the ribbon. Just break it up a little bit. And what do you think of our bow? I love this bow. Very pretty colors. I don't think people would imagine this for fall, right? It's usually like just browns and tans and oranges, creams. Well, we went a little outside the box because this was a pretty sign. So let's look at our sign with our bow. Do you guys like that? Am I in the right camera angle there? So I think that looks really cute. So we're going to have this sign, this bow, and then we're going to finish off our base next week with our ruffles. So remember, our ruffles are going to be, here's our base. Here it is. This is going to be our base. So we're either going to have regular ruffles or woodland ruffles. We're going to skip ties and put ribbon in just our skip ties, just so that we don't create this huge monster of a wreath. We wanted to leave this one a little bit smaller. And then we're going to have a bow on here, right? So just imagine, we don't technically need to put all our ribbon tails a lot of times on our entire project, because if we have a ginormous bow like this, it's going to take up half your wreath. But we're going to have to find a little home for our pumpkins. Possibly we only might fit one, but who knows. And our sign. So we're going to have to find good homes as far as on the wreath for our sign, our pumpkin, and our bow. All right, does anybody have any questions? So we'll finish this up on Monday night, 9 o'clock on Monday on the Santa Marta Designs Facebook channel. And so I appreciate each and every one of you coming on and hopping on to watch. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, I'd love for you to do so. Go ahead and hit that little free subscribe button and that notification bell icon. So as soon as we're either live or post new tutorials, then you'll be one of the first ones to know. Okay? Right? Big bow. Thank you, Geraldine. Awesome. People love the colors. All right. So give our video a thumbs up if you loved it when you're out on the YouTube home space. And we hope to see you guys on Monday on our Facebook channel. If not, we'll be back on Thursday night on YouTube with a project. And I think we're going to try and work on a Halloween wreath attachment on our live. Okay? So stay tuned. I think for next Thursday on YouTube, we're going to work on a Halloween wreath attachment. Might involve some sewing. All right? So just as a heads up. All right, kids. Thank you for joining us. Kathy here from Santa Marta Designs signing off. Thank you for coming on, and we hope to see you again soon. Have a good night. Bye.